Here, our rare breed of men gamble with life.
Oh, son of a...
Chainsaws, beards, screaming men in the woods. That, ladies and gentlemen, was peak television in 2008. Axemen wasn't just a show. It was testosterone with a camera crew, a symphony of flannel, danger, and unresolved father issues, all set to the sweet, sweet sound of falling timber. It sold itself as real.
Or bust.
Raw, rugged. These men risked their lives to put food on the table, the narrator growled as someone nearly decapitated himself with a crane. And we bought it. We loved it. This was Deadliest Catch for people who thought even the ocean was too soft. Every week, America tuned in to watch grizzled loggers shout at each other, break expensive equipment, and narrowly avoid death.
There's fire in the sky. You just wonder if there's anybody left alive.
While a dramatic voiceover explained the economics of lumber like it was Game of Thrones. It was reality TV before reality died. No glam, no filters, just pine trees, profit margins, and the kind of guys who looked like they'd fist fight a bear and lose proudly. But here's the twist. What started as a tribute to blue-collar grit slowly morphed into a soap opera with chainsaws. The danger got faker, the drama got louder, and by the end, Axemen had become the very thing it pretended to hate. Scripted, polished, and painfully predictable.
The men of logging country are tested for the last time.
So how did we get from logging legends to logging lawsuits? Grab your safety goggles because we're going in. The year was 2008. The economy was crumbling, Keeping Up with the Kardashians had just premiered, and the History Channel was slowly forgetting what the word history meant. Enter Axemen, a show so gritty, so loud, and so inexplicably watchable, it made you forget it was airing on the same channel that once taught you about World War II. Created by Tom Beers, yes, that Tom Beers, the same mad genius behind Deadliest Catch and Ice Road Truckers, Axemen was the third horseman of the working class apocalypse reality genre.
Now gravity and a couple of wedges will do the rest.
And it worked. Because what's more American than men, danger, and a deeply unhealthy disregard for OSHA regulations? Set in the unforgiving forests of Oregon, Washington, Montana, and the gator-infested swamps of Louisiana, Axemen promised viewers an all-access pass to one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. Chainsaws, log trucks, helicopters, swamp boats, and enough plaid to start a Canadian Civil War. And America ate it up. Each episode followed different crews racing against time, weather, and common sense to haul in the most timber. The stakes? High. The tempers? Higher. The dialogue? Roughly 90% shouting and 10% grunting. And then there was Shelby Stanga, the Swamp Man. A man so mythically bizarre, he made Florida look normal. He became a fan favorite overnight, eventually earning his own spinoff, and basically proving that if you're weird enough on TV, you will become a brand.
Another one bites dust.
Probably almost at 5 loads right now, half day. So I mean, hell, we're moving right along today. It's a good day.
For History Channel, Axemen was a ratings goldmine. It wasn't just television, it was strategy. A show that let them pivot away from, well, actual history and into the arms of dangerous blue-collar chaos. So what if the only thing it taught you was that yelling louder makes you more qualified?
I was doing it the same damn way you're doing it. What the hell are you talking about?
It was authentic, kind of. And in 2008, that was more than enough. But here's the thing about authenticity. It doesn't always age well, and soon the cracks began to show. It all started with a log. No, not the majestic tree kind, an actual evidence log, as in illegal logging caught on camera by the people doing it. In 2009, one of Axemen's breakout crews, S&S Aqua Logging, decided that laws were more like soft suggestions. They were salvaging sunken logs from the Hoquiam River in Washington state without a permit. And how did the authorities find out? They watched Axemen.
A foot would have killed me.
Yes, the Department of Natural Resources literally got tipped off by the show's own footage. This wasn't just reality TV, it was a confession tape with commercial breaks. The state swooped in, seized dozens of logs, and called it what it was: theft, plain and simple. Public reaction? A mix of how stupid can you be, like, and wait, you can steal logs? But that was just the beginning.
Let's get going. I'm burning daylight. I want to go.
Because the owner of S&S Aqua Logging, Jimmy Smith, wasn't done embarrassing himself, or the show. Turns out, while he was dragging half a forest out of a river on national television, he was also collecting over $50,000 in disability payments from the government for being unable to work. Spoiler, logging is work. This led to a federal investigation, a PR disaster, and the growing realization that Axemen wasn't just documenting danger, it was platforming fraud. Then came Mike Pyle. In 2009, the same year Jimmy was being creatively entrepreneurial, Paul, another central figure of the show, rolled a Jeep on his own property while drunk, with his kids in the car. One of them got trapped under the roll bar. Luckily, they all survived. Unluckily, the story did too. He was arrested and charged with reckless endangerment and child neglect, but narrowly avoided a DUI thanks to a legal technicality. Turns out you can't be officially drunk driving if you're only endangering your family on private land. America, folks.
You're gonna need to get rid of those.
He's getting on Travis for his flimsy strap-on corks.
And as if things weren't chaotic enough, our beloved swamp man Shelby Stonga chopped down his neighbor's tree. Without asking. When arrested, he reportedly explained it like it was the most normal thing in the world, because apparently in the swamp, trespassing and vandalism are just Tuesday. By now, Axemen had become less of a tribute to blue-collar resilience and more of a true crime anthology with better beards. But the real question was, were the cameras just catching bad luck or encouraging it? Let's talk about the drama. As the seasons went on, something started to shift. The fights got louder, the rivalries got faker. At one point, producers allegedly staged a scene where someone fired arrows at a competing crew. Arrows, in a logging war. You know, just your typical forestry feud.
Oh, look at that one across the river right there. That's a big stone too, man. Damn.
Viewers noticed. Reddit threads popped up questioning if the show had quietly crossed over into pro wrestling with wood chips. A photographer who visited one of the crews noted the guys were actually chill, like normal dudes doing normal work, not the redneck Avengers the show portrayed them as. It became clear the producers weren't just documenting chaos, they were manufacturing it. And then came the deaths. In 2013, helicopter pilot William Bart Colentuano, featured in several seasons, died in a crash while airlifting logs. A rotor blade broke off. He didn't survive. In 2016, Gabe Rygaard, fan favorite, owner of Rygaard Logging and Human Bulldozer in Flannel, was killed in a car accident just months after the show was canceled. He was 45. In 2018, Stacy Robeson, a young and popular logger from the Peel crew, died suddenly during the reboot's filming. Though not on camera, the impact was huge. Social media lit up with condolences. Axemen wasn't just losing ratings, it was losing people. By this point, fans weren't sure whether they were watching entertainment or a cursed series.
This is the only two boats we got. If this don't get it, what the hell am I gonna do? This is my last two raw.
Was Axemen highlighting the dangers of the job or quietly exploiting them? Behind the scenes, producers probably asked themselves a similar question. How much danger is too much before it stops being thrilling and starts being morally indefensible? And then came the backlash. Veteran loggers outside the show started speaking up. One called the Axemen cast actors with chainsaws. Another said, they wouldn't last 15 minutes in the real woods with me. Even Senator Chuck Grassley, yes, that Chuck Grassley, took a break from yelling at clouds to tweet about how History Channel had abandoned actual history. Ouch. And the fans? The fans were torn. At first, there was loyalty.
Brand new, $500,000 piece of crap breaks down and I can't get nothing done.
It's still better than fake Hollywood crap, they'd say. But over time, even the diehards began to notice the repetition, the obvious scripting, the overproduced fights. Comments like, this used to be real and I miss the old seasons, started showing up more than Mike Pyle himself. By season 9, the ratings were falling like, well, trees on Axemen. The show was officially canceled in 2016. Of course, in true Axemen fashion, it didn't end quietly, because just a few months later, Gabe Rygaard died. Fans mourned him as the real heart of the series. And just like that, Axemen wasn't just a TV show anymore. It was a ghost story. A reboot, Axemen Reborn, arrived in 2019, but by then the magic and half the cast was gone. It limped through a short season, got middling reviews, and quietly vanished into the fog. There's a moment in every reality show's life where it stops being about reality and starts being about retention.
The only thing I got, I'm doing the best I can.
All right, 10-4, I'll see what I can do.
For Axemen, that moment came somewhere around season 6, but like a tree leaning just slightly off balance. No one noticed until it hit the ground. Let's be clear, nobody was watching Axemen for nuanced storytelling. But by the end, you could predict the plot of every episode like it was a Hallmark Christmas movie. Scene 1, crew is behind. Scene 2, someone yells. Scene 3, equipment breaks. Scene 4, someone almost dies. Scene 5, everything works out thanks to hard work and a convenient commercial break.
Mike. Surprisingly enough, it's going decent so far. I'm pretty impressed and pretty pleased with the way things are going.
It became scripted chaos and flannel. The fights, same recycled lines. The danger, telegraphed like a soap opera stunt. The crews, characters playing heightened versions of themselves. Shelby Swampman went from oddball folk hero to full-blown cartoon character. At one point, it felt like he'd be better suited to a Looney Tunes crossover than a job site. Even the trees felt fake. Were those logs actually heavy or just metaphorically burdened by poor writing? Social media noticed. Memes started flying. Axemen, the only show where everyone is 5 minutes from death for 9 seasons straight. Episode 142, Shelby loses his chainsaw, finds his inner peace. Why do they all talk like the Discovery Channel is holding their families hostage? Former fans posted breakdowns on YouTube with titles like Axemen, when logging became LARPing, and the swamp was never real. Reddit threads speculated whether certain accidents were staged. Viewers wondered how every crew could have exactly one dramatic breakdown per episode. And once the audience suspects reality isn't real, it's over. The reboot didn't help. Axemen Reborn was supposed to be a fresh start. Younger faces, better pacing, some legacy characters like Mike Paul to keep the old fans happy. But it felt like a cover band playing the same tired set list. Even the tributes.
We'll see how she works.
Like the emotional segment for Stacey Robeson felt like a desperate attempt to remind viewers, this still matters, we still care, and maybe they did. But the audience had moved on. The danger was gone. The novelty, dead. And what was left behind? A series clinging to the aesthetic of grit, without any of the unpredictability that made it compelling. Axemen had become what it once stood against: sanitized, formulaic, and hollow. Not a documentary, not even a drama, just background noise in a world that no longer needed lumberjack lore to feel alive. And worst of all, it wasn't even fun anymore. In the end, Axemen was never really about logging. It was about myth-making. About taking hard men in hard hats and turning them into TV heroes.
Close call.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Flawed, angry, dirty heroes with chainsaws and unresolved trauma. And for a while, it worked really well. It tapped into something primal, the fantasy that grit still mattered, that sweat meant something, that danger could be noble. It gave voice and screen time to a kind of masculinity that felt increasingly sidelined in mainstream media. It said, hey, not everyone lives in LA, Karen, but like most fantasies, it couldn't survive reality. The scandals piled up, the deaths mounted, the producers got sloppy, the audience got smarter, and somewhere between the staged fights and the real funerals, the magic died.
But it's just a hint of the massive storm that is to come.
Could it have been saved? Maybe. If it had pulled back, leaned into honesty, honored the danger instead of glamorizing it. If it had remembered that authenticity isn't just yelling, "This is real," over a stock music track. It's being real even when it's boring. Instead, it tried to outdo itself until there was nothing left to do. So what are we left with? A show that once made you care about logging, now mostly remembered for the time a guy committed insurance fraud. On television. A series that started as a tribute and ended as a cautionary tale. And maybe that's the most Axemen ending possible. So here's your call to action, dear viewer. Like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, which reality TV job do you think is next to get someone arrested? Because if we've learned anything from Axemen, it's this: chainsaws make terrible alibis.